On 8.2, which is reflection on a coordinate plane. So today we have the F and the L that are highlighted, and that's because when we have a reflection, we're going to think of a flip. So this is where we flip a figure over a line of reflection to create a mirror image. So we're going to be doing two things. We're going to either reflect over the x-axis or the y-axis. And next year you'll reflect over what's called a line. It could be like y equals x, or it could be y equals negative x. So this year we're just reflecting over the x-axis or the y-axis. First thing we're going to look at, so for flipping over the x-axis, it means we're going to fold it on this line right here. So we're going to fold it. So this DEF triangle is going to end up right here. If we folded it on that line, it would end up from, again, this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and quadrant 4. So we're going to start in quadrant 4, but we'd end up in quadrant 1. So to do this, we have points already given to us here where we have our pre-image, meaning our original image, and DEF, and we're going to change it to D prime, E prime, F prime. So we're going to flip that and see where it would end up. So to do this, we are going to keep the x the same. So we're going to keep the x value the same. So in other words, my 2 is not going to change, my 7 is not going to change, and that 2 is not going to change. But what is going to change is the y value will become the opposite. So originally my y value was negative 2, now it's going to become a positive 2. Originally my y value was negative 7, now it's going to become a positive 7. Originally my y value was a negative 7, it's going to become a positive 7. Because we would start here for D, and if we folded it up, it's going to end right here. So it's going to be 2 away from the line, from your x-axis. It would still be 2 away from your x-axis, just in the same location in quadrant 1. So this would be D prime. E prime, if we folded it, would still be at 7 for your x value, but instead of being down here at a negative 7, it would be up here at a positive 7. And then F prime would still be at 2 on our x-axis, but on the y it's going to flip to the top, which would be a positive 7 here. So if you look, these are a mirror image of each other. So this is kind of like looking into a mirror, and when you raise your right arm, it looks like the person in the mirror would be raising their left arm. So that's what it is. So when we did this, when we flipped this, it says describe how reflection affected the x and y values. When we went over the x-axis, our x values stayed the same. But our y values became the opposite. So change to the opposite. So this is how it looks algebraically. Algebraically, it would start with your original xy. How it's written becomes x stayed the same, y becomes opposite. That does not mean negative y, it means opposite y value. So again, that does not mean a negative. It means whatever it was, it's now the opposite. X stayed x, y became the opposite. If it started as a negative, now it's going to become positive. All right, so now let's look at when we reflect over the over the y-axis. So now we're going to reflect over this line right here. In other words, we're going to go from quadrant 1 into quadrant 2. So now we're going to keep the y value the same because that's not going to change. My y's will stay the same, but my x value will become the opposite. So instead of having w prime, x prime, y prime. So instead of having 2, 6, now my x value becomes opposite, so it become a -2, but my y value stays the same. Instead of having 7, I'm going to have -7, y value stays the same. Opposite x value, same y. So I'd be at -2, 6 for w prime. For x, I'd be at a -7, 4. And then at y, I'd be at -2, 2. So y prime would be there. Again, you have that mirror image. Looks exactly the same, just on the other, in the other quadrant. So on this one, describe what happened. Well, our x values became opposite. So it changed to the opposite. But our y value stayed the same.
Your favorite team.
So algebraically, this would start x comma y and change to opposite x, y. Again, that doesn't mean negative, it means opposite. All right, try those ones on your own.